Today we are going to make a skirt that looks like this. This is the front of the skirt. It's going to have a pleat here. Actually, it could be a pleat and it could also be a slit. I'm going to start off with a slit first to show you, and then I'm going to incorporate how it could be with a pleat. You can be funky and make the pleat where it's going to be a different color underneath when you walk and you see the different color, which is very cute. This is what the back is going to look like. You have an option also where you could put the zipper at the side, or the center back, but today we're going to focus with the zipper at the back. All right, so let's get started. So I'm going to first create a center front line here because I didn't have that. I'm not using the original paper, so I'm just also showing you what to do when you're not using the original paper. You create your center front line there, and I'm going to place my skirt pattern. Remember, this is a pattern now because it has the seam allowances on it. If you don't have a pattern, you can place it slope down, trace around the edges, but with that you are going to have to add your seam allowance to your pattern. Okay, so that's the difference. Now you are going to mark out your dart right here because this is where we're going to join it, and mark on here. Use your ruler and like extend the line beyond. So you have your dart here. So let's move this off of here. You could have done it another way where you trace all of the pattern and then put the paper over it and retrace it. That could have been another optional way. All right, so I have my dart here. So I'm going to connect my dart. Remember, because I had the line right here, I'm going to still have that line here, and I'm going to draw. All right, now you have to add ½ inch seam allowance on everything because the dart opening does have the ½ inch seam allowance. What I would also suggest, because this is a pointy V area here, what I would suggest also is that you shape it out, curve it a little bit. All right, because you don't want to be pointy, so you curve it a little bit. Now you can adjust this and let it be about 5 inches up from the bottom. All right, for the extension of, I'll say, 2 inches. Okay, draw your line to show where it's going to stop. All right, 2 inches. All right, and then you can apply your ½ inch up for your seam allowance and extension ½ inch also. If you want to do 1.5 inches, that's fine, but I'm just doing 2 inches right now. Okay, and you do the same here. So remember, this already have the hem allowance here, which is 1.5 inches. All right, and we came up from that. Hold up. Well, we came up from there, but we're gonna end up with finish with the 3.5 inch slit up. Okay, 3.5 inch slit up, not much. From here to here, it's gonna be 3.5 inches. If you want more, you just have to go up more. All right, and then you're gonna add your seam allowance to the side also. And this, now make sure you form your angle here, and you write that it is the going to be on a fold. All right, this is going to be on a fold. Okay, so this is the center front, place on a fold, and this is ×1 fabric. Okay, and you continue with the line there. So this is center front. Now let's do the side front. Okay, so we can literally cut this out. You know how to cut it. You can cut along it now, but because of taping, I'm not going to cut it fully out because that would take long. So that's your first part, front. Okay, let's deal with the back now. So, sorry, the side, the other part, the side front. So for argument's sake, I'm using this line here as a guide for my center front. All right, because I'm using the dotted paper, so I can do that. Put your weights there. I have my weights. Now I'm going to trace the opposite direction. Okay, I'm going to trace in the opposite direction. So I'm tracing this side. Okay. Oops. The hem allowance is already on this, but if you're using a silk without hem allowance, just do remember to add your hem allowance. Don't forget the dart. If it's not going to go through with that, with your pencil, for the pencil you use your haul. Okay, this is what the haul looks like. It's pointed. All right, and you need that straight line that you drew there. So you need that correspondence on the end. All right, and now we are ready to trace that out. So do remember also to write that this is our side seam. Okay, don't forget your notches. All right. Okay, don't forget your notches. Now this, because I had this is a 4. I love the dots on this paper because it helps me. It acts as a guide for when I'm drawing my straight line, so I never go wrong. Okay, it helps as a guide, so I love that. Okay, and now I need to form out my dart. Okay, remember, because it had the dart, it was going to be pointy. You are going to curve out that little piece right there. You can also now create that as a notch right there too. Okay, you can create a notch right there. So on the front, make sure you have your measurements right. I went up from the bottom 5 inches, and then I added the seam allowance. So I'm going to come up 5 inches from the bottom, mark that off. All right, you need a straight line going across, and then you need a seam allowance of a 1/2 inch. Now also I went out 2 inches and added 1/2 inch to that, so do the same. Okay, and add your 1/2 inch to that. All right, now add your seam allowance here for the remaining portion of the skirt. Optional, you can also, I would suggest that you put a dart halfway through the hip line dart, the end of the dart here, the original dart, and down halfway through about 5 inches. That's good enough. You put a notch there for sewing purposes. Okay, so you put a notch there, and because you did that here, you have to do the same thing on the front part of the fabric, the front part of the pattern paper. All right, so that's my notch right there also, and you had a notch there. Okay, so now you make sure you just mark it off here. Okay, 1 notch for front and 2 notches for back. This is a side seam. We already have that. We can now cut along here. Not much to say cut about, I should say. Cut around it. We cut exactly. Okay. So this, make sure you have your green line because you're using dotted paper, it's very easy to form your green line because the dots, you just follow the dots or the numbers on there, I should say. And this is going to be your side front, and times 2 fabric. If you're lining it, same thing also. All right, that's for the front. Let's do the back. So for the back now, okay, let's start with the center back. Let's change it up a little bit. Start with the center back here. You could also be funky and have it also in the center back going on. You don't have to just do the front alone. I'm gonna add it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. So with this, I'm also going to have an opening here. You know, let it be nice and, you know, sexy. All right, and that's your back. All right, so you have 3 at the front and 3 at the back. You can do 2, but I'm gonna do 3. I'm being, you know, funky. You create something. I like creativity. I love that stuff. So just want to make sure that you have enough for your 2 inches going out. Yeah, you're gonna have it enough. I'll have enough. All right, so I'm gonna draw my my lines, mark it out, nice in the back. Okay, and I'm gonna trace up to here. Don't forget your dart. Okay, also trace up to here. Because what I did, I don't know if you noticed, but I had drawn the line here from the dart, the tip of the dart, all the way down a straight line. So I'm going to have a mark there to show me that's what I have. So this was my dart here. I am going to connect or form my dart, I should say. And I'm also going to go down here. Straight line, okay. Down. Okay, and I came up 5 inches. All right, and I went out 2 inches over. Two inches over, I came up 5 inches, went up 2 inches over. And I'm going up another 1/2 inch. And I'm going out the seam allowance for seam allowance. All right, make sure you connect those and extend your line at the bottom for the hem. All right, don't forget to put your hem allowance line there for illustration purposes. It's going to be 1.5 inches. And for here, do likewise as on the back where you shape out that part. You can also create you're gonna need 2 notches here. One upper 1/2 inch wide. I mean apart, I should say, not wide. I'm creating another one here, which is about 6 inches up. Actually, let me do 5 inches up. 5 inches up. Actually, yeah, 5 inches up. All right, and you create the other one. So I'm creating my back notches here. Okay, so I have these, and you put in your seam allowance, 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, so remember 2 notches at the when you're dealing with the back of anything, right? You have 2 notches on the back and 1 on the front always. This is your center back. You can also create your center back line, which is 3/4 inch. All right, you can do that. And from there, you can go out your 2 inches. So that's what I'm going to do now. All right. And I'm going to add a 1/2 inch seam allowance to that. So it's literally like this. You can also, because that one is different, you can also make it the same height as this one if you want, or you can keep the height you have. So this is the center back, and don't forget your grain line. Grain line is very important. So ×2 fabric, all right, and this is the center back skirt, all right. Notches are there, everything else is in place, and now I'm going to cut around this. Okay, I'm not going to cut it precisely when it is because of taping purposes, but you have the picture of what I'm trying to get at. All right, let's do the front now. Once again, you're going to need a guide for the front, so I'm using these lines here as the guide for the front, or you can create your own. As I stated before, you could see, 1 second. Yeah, you could create your own using the dotted paper. Okay, and that's what I'm doing now, just for illustration purposes. I'm showing you that you can create your own line at the back to start with. Okay. So I did this. I know I did the center front, the center back before, and now I'm going to trace this out for the side back. Don't forget your dart end, the tip of your dart. You will need that, and this is the reason why I have my the folding board there for making the pattern. So even if I make a dart hole using the awl, it won't go through on my table. All right, so you need to line it up with this and create your end point. All right, seem to have everything in place, and this is what we're working with. So now this was your dart. All right, I'm going to connect it, and now I am going to connect my dart, and that, as I said before, need to shape it out also. Okay, and I came up 5 inches from the bottom. All right, I need to add 2 inches here. Okay, and then I need to go out another 1/2 inch. I need to create 1/2 inch up from there. I need to extend my hem allowance line, which is literally 1.5 inches. Okay, and I need to add seam allowance to all of this. Okay, so my dart I can use, so to get the accuracy of, don't forget the notches here on the sides. All right, notches, hem notch. For accuracy, what I would do is use the back to form the to get the correct notches on here. But before I do so, get your green line. Grain line is very important. All right, and this is going to be your side back. All right, and this is going to be ×2 fabric on the grain. All right, and for accuracy, as I stated, all you need to do here is line up. This is the back of the skirt. All right, that's the center back right here. I'm going to line up the side back seam with what I have here, making sure it lines up properly. Okay, and line it up, mark underneath for where the formation of the notches should be. All right, notice it's there. It's going to be a faded line, but you have to make it brighter. All right, and show the 2 notches there. Okay, and then all you have to do is just cut along here. Now again, for the waistband, all you need for the waistband is you can create a waistband like this. It's going to be the waistband is usually 1 1/4 inches, so you have 1 1/4 inches ×2, which is 2.5 the width, and then you add 1/2 inch here and 1/2 inch here, so it's a total of 3.5 inches for the waistband. And you have, for the overlapping extension, you have an extra 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 to an inch is good. Could be longer if you want for the buttonhole. And so whatever your waist measurement is, you add anywhere between 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch, plus 1/2 inch seam allowance on either end of it. So if you're doing it in where you're putting on the fold, you need to do half of that measurement when you tally. Say for instance your waist is 28, you add, let's augment, say let's use 1 inch then for your overlap, so that's 29 inches plus 1 inch for the seam allowance, which is 1/2 inch on either end of the fabric, so that's 30 inches. So you need this piece to be 15 inches long up to the end here, which would include here, right? 15 inches long times 3.5 inches. So this is 3.5 inches wide to the end, but finish and times the length, whatever your waist is, as I stated. Now for this, that's for your waistband. Now for your, if you want to be funky, as I said, and have the extra underneath piece showing, then you can create a piece of fabric, and I'm going to show it here, where you're tracing this over, okay, it comes back there, and it's 2 inches you need for here, 2 inches. You also need a 2 inches on the other side, okay, and then you need a 1/2 inch seam allowance. 1/2 inch seam allowance on this side. And notice I'm going by what I have here, all right, and the hem allowance here, the hem is here, and the hem allowance is 1.5 inches, right? And so this would be the top. Then if you're doing that, you place a notch here, okay, and you'd also place a notch here on either side of it. So when it is folded, all said and done, when it is folded, all said and done, for argument's sake, you need to fold this in 2 by the line there. When you do that, then you form your notch on here also. And you know that this is the hem allowance, HA, and this is where it's going to be joined when you're sewing for sewing purposes. It's going to be joined here, and you sew it. So when you walk, when that part is folded back in this manner, and it's folded here like this, notice it's lined up I don't know if you're able to see. All right, the marking underneath. All right, see the lines there. All right, they're lining up. That's the seam allowance you would have. And when you walk, this would open up and you see a different color underneath. So that's what I want to illustrate, that you have a little different color underneath, which is, to me, is beautiful, gorgeous when you have a contrasting color. All right, so that's it that you have for this skirt pattern today. Good luck.